Imagine a scenario for a second. And honestly, for anyone who works with their brain for a living, writers, strategists, developers, this is the absolute stuff of nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down to create something, maybe it's a market analysis, a chapter of a book you've been agonizing over, or just a really thoughtful internal memo.
You put the work in. You really pour your soul into it.
Exactly. It is honest, hard work.
Mm.
You hit publish or, send it to your boss. And then almost immediately the red flag goes up. Plagiarism.
The scarlet letter of the professional world.
Right. But here is the twist, and this is where it gets terrifying.
Uh-huh.
You didn't copy anyone. You didn't have Wikipedia open in a hidden tab. You didn't steal a single sentence.
But an AI somewhere on the other side of the planet generated something nearly identical for someone else.
Yes, you're guilty not of theft, but of, statistical probability.
And that is exactly where we find ourselves today. It's a terrifying prospect for creators, but it's also a fascinating turning point for how we define intellectual property.
How so?
We are moving from a world where we judge the output, the words on the page, to a world where we have to judge the input, the thinking behind it.
Today we are doing a deep dive into a really provocative article that tackles this head-on. It's titled Time to Redefine the Plagiarism, written by J.D. Parashar.
Mm-hmm. It just dropped.
Yeah, January 27, 2026. And I have to say, this piece really shook me. It feels like one of those moments where someone finally says the quiet part out loud about how messy all of this has become.
It's a heavy hitter, for sure. And Parashar, he isn't just throwing stones from the sidelines. He's an industry veteran. That context is really important here.
That's what jumped out at me immediately. He says he's been in research and writing for 17 years. He's published books, educational series.
This is a guy who knows the old rules of copyright and citation inside and out. He knows the academic rigors.
And yet he's basically come out and saying the old rules are completely broken.
They are. And the mission for our deep dive today is to understand why. We need to look at this fundamental shift Parashar is describing.
This move you mentioned.
Yeah, from an era where we protected words, the literal sequence of letters on a page, to an era where we have to figure out how to protect frameworks.
Okay, let's unpack that, because protecting frameworks sounds a bit abstract. But before we get there, we have to look at what's breaking.
The old definition.
Yeah, usually when I hear plagiarism, I think of a lazy student, copying and pasting from a website. Parashar calls this the old definition.
Right, and we all know that definition. It was simple, it was binary. You copy someone's words, you copy their work, you claim it as yours. Simple, bad, don't do it.
It was a clear moral line in the sand. You were either a thief or you weren't.
But Parashar points out that we are judging 2026 content with those 2010 rules, and that mismatch is causing massive anxiety. He introduces this concept of dereputation.
That word stuck with me. Dereputation.
Yeah.
It sounds painful.
It is. It's the damage to your reputation that happens without any bad intention on your part. Think about the scale of production now.
Oh, it's huge.
Parashar notes that a single person equipped with AI tools can now outproduce a full team from the pre-AI era. The volume of text being generated every second is, it's incomprehensible.
He says the internet has become a giant training ground.
Yes, and this is where we have to get a little technical to understand the problem. Because the internet is a training ground, every idea has essentially been ingested by these models. Every sentence structure, every idiom, every logical flow.
So it all just gets blended together.
Exactly. Parashar uses this great phrase, every headline has a cousin somewhere.
That's the part that stresses me out. If every headline has a cousin, then technically are we all just accidental plagiarists?
If we stick to the old definition.
Right.
Possibly. And that's the core conflict here. We have this new dynamic where you can be accused of theft just because the software you used was trained on the same data as the software I used.
It's not malice.
It's math.
So if I write a headline about the future of remote work and an AI generates the same headline for you, neither of us stole it. We just both arrived at the most statistically probable combination of words.
Precisely. And this leads us to the heart of his argument. He separates copying from converging. This distinction is absolutely critical if you want to survive right now. You need to know the difference.
Converging. Okay. So copying is deliberate theft. What does he mean by converging?
Converging is what happens when millions of people use the same large language models, the LLMs, and, similar prompt structures.
Okay.
Think about how an LLM works. It predicts the next most likely word in a sequence. If you give it a standard input, it will give you the standard average output, and it converges on the mean.
Right. And Parashar mentions he has published over 25,000 prompts. That is a staggeringly high number.
It is huge. And think about the implications of that. If he publishes a prompt and his team uses it and his followers use it and random people on the internet use it,
The AI is going to generate outputs that look remarkably similar across the board.
success.
Because the AI is just following instructions.
Yeah.
It's not trying to rip anyone off. It's just doing what it was told.
It's similarity at scale. Parashar asks the question, if the results look similar because everyone is using his prompts, is that theft? Or is it just the tool working correctly?
It feels like we're entering a world where accidental plagiarism is just the default setting. Like, if I ask an AI to write a professional email declining a job offer, there are only so many ways to do that politely.
That's a perfect example. Thank you for the opportunity, however.
I have decided to pursue another path.
Exactly. We all converge on that language. Now, if we punish that convergence, if we say, hey, your email looks 90% like mine, you're a thief.
We create a deadlock.
We create a deadlock. No one can write about common topics without fear. It paralyzes creativity because you're constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering if an algorithm wrote your sentence 5 minutes ago in Singapore.
That sounds exhausting.
Uh-huh.
It's like walking through a minefield where the mines move every time you take a step. So, if the old definition is copying words, and that doesn't work anymore because the machines naturally converge on the same words, what is the new definition? What does Parashar propose?
He argues we need to stop valuing the content itself, the specific arrangement of words, and start valuing the framework.
The framework. Okay,
Yeah.
help me visualize that. What's the difference between the content and the framework in this context?
Think of the content as the bricks and the paint. The framework is the blueprint.
Got it.
Parashar's proposed definition of plagiarism in the AI era is this: copying the framework and insights of someone else to create new content with AI.
Okay, let me see if I get this. So it's not plagiarism if I use a common idea or a familiar format. It's not plagiarism if I write about the same topic as you.
Correct. Those are just shared cultural artifacts now. If we both write about 5 ways to improve productivity, that's fine. The AI will probably give us similar tips. Wake up early, use a to-do list.
That's convergence.
That's convergence. That is not theft.
But it is plagiarism if I look at your unique structural insight, the specific way you connected the dots, and I feed that into an AI to generate a new version of it.
Exactly. It's about the architecture of the thought. In the past, the thinking and the writing were inseparable. You couldn't have the text without the effort of writing it. Now the text is cheap, instant.
So the value has shifted.
Completely. It's shifted entirely to the invisible part. The original thinking, the strategy, the unique insight that prompted the text.
So if I take your specific, unique theory on market economics, feed it into an LLM, and say, rewrite this in a different tone, that is the new theft.
Yes, because you stole the thinking. You didn't just stumble upon the same words. You appropriated the intellectual labor that happened before the typing started.
He has this quote that I underlined 3 times. The world doesn't need more content. It needs more truth.
And truth always carries a name. That's a powerful line.
It really is. It suggests that in this sea of AI-generated noise, the only thing that actually matters is the specific, verifiable reality of a human being's experience.
That's the anchor. He's saying that we aren't trying to save content. Content is doomed to be a commodity. He wants to protect original thinking.
Right.
If we label every textual overlap as plagiarism, we destroy creativity. But if we fail to protect frameworks, we destroy the incentive to think originally.
This shift from protecting the output to protecting the input is huge. But I want to bring in some other voices here, because Parashar's article sparked a pretty intense debate in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like the community is really grappling with how to apply this practically. I mean, it's one thing to say protect frameworks, but how do you actually do that?
Absolutely. The comment section was a goldmine of practical application. It wasn't just people nodding along, they were stress testing the idea. You had people like Gurvinder Singh weighing in.
Right, Gurvinder, he's an AI automation coach.
Yeah.
His take was all about context.
Which is the perfect countermove to the convergence problem we just talked about. Gurvinder argues that to avoid the plagiarism trap, or the convergence trap, creators have to design unique prompts that add personal insight.
So not just write a blog post about marketing.
Exactly. That prompt is too broad. It relies entirely on the AI's training data, which means you get the average of the internet. You get the cousin of everyone else's article. You get the convergence.
So Gurvinder's saying you need to load the prompt with your own stuff.
Yes. Embed your specific context, your experience, your data into the prompt. Say, write a blog post about marketing based on this specific campaign failure I experienced in 2024. The differentiation doesn't come from the AI.
It comes from what you feed it.
It comes from what you feed it.
It's like cooking. If everyone uses the same jar of pre-made sauce, the pasta tastes the same. You have to bring your own secret spices.
Precisely. But then there was another comment that I found even more striking, specifically for the business crowd. This one came from Authorship.
Oh, the B2B sauce comment. That one felt like a reality check.
It really was. Authorship pointed out a massive vulnerability in the corporate world. He noted that in B2B SaaS software as a service growth, teams are obsessed with efficiency. They want to scale everything.
Right.
So what happens?
They all buy the same proven prompt libraries. They all use the same lead generation frameworks.
They treat prompts like magic spells that verify success, and the result.
All their outbound messaging sounds identical.
Identical.
That is hilarious and tragic at the same time. You open your inbox and you have 5 emails from 5 different companies, and they all sound like the same robotic salesperson.
I hope this email finds you well.
I was just browsing your website and noticed.
I wanted to circle back on this. It's just a wall of sameness. Shaw calls this out. This scales poorly.
But why does it scale poorly? You'd think using the best prompt would be the most efficient thing.
It's the paradox of efficiency. If everyone uses the best framework, the framework loses its value. It becomes background noise.
If your email looks like spam, it gets treated like spam.
Exactly. Shaw says true differentiation comes from the strategic application of data, not just the prompt.
So the plagiarism in that case isn't that they stole the words, it's that they stole the strategy. Or rather, they borrowed a generic strategy that everyone else is using.
And in doing so, they erased their own value. If your business strategy is just, let's use the standard AI prompt, you don't have a business strategy. You have a commodity. You are competing on who can copy-paste faster.
This connects right back to what Parashar said about frameworks.
Yeah.
If you aren't bringing a unique framework to the table, the AI can't save you. It just exposes how unoriginal you actually are.
Ouch. But yes, that's the brutal truth of it. The AI acts like a mirror. If you stand in front of it with nothing unique to say, it reflects that emptiness right back at you, just with perfect grammar.
I want to zoom out a bit. We've looked at the article and the community reaction, but I'm curious about J.D. Parashar himself. You mentioned earlier he's been in the game for 17 years. When we look at his other recent work, do you see a pattern here?
Oh, absolutely.
Is this plagiarism article a standalone rant, or is it part of a bigger philosophy?
It's definitely part of a coherent worldview. I took a look at his recent headlines just from the last week or so of January 2026. This isn't an isolated incident. He is building an argument piece by piece.
Give me a flavor. What else is he writing about?
Well, you've got titles like Building Products with Invisible AI.
Invisible AI. I like that. That sounds sophisticated.
Yeah. The emotional UX of AI, and AGI isn't the goal. Intelligence distribution is. And then there's myth versus reality. AI kills creativity.
Okay, so what's the through line? What does invisible AI have to do with redefining plagiarism?
The connection is the human element. Parashar consistently argues against the surface-level hype. He's not interested in the flashy, loud AI products. He's interested in how AI integrates into the background to support human intent.
So when he talks about emotional UX, he's saying the tech should feel human.
He's saying the tech should handle the rote production so humans can be more human. When he talks about intelligence distribution, he means getting the smarts into the hands of the people, not just building one giant godlike brain in a server farm.
And that links back to the plagiarism argument because
If AI handles the production, the typing, the formatting, the basic structure, then the only thing left for the human to do is the truth.
The strategy, the emotion.
Exactly. So his argument isn't AI is ruining writing. His argument is AI is stripping away the fluff, forcing us to focus on the core thinking.
Precisely. He believes the plagiarism argument is just one piece of this puzzle. AI forces us to upgrade our definition of value. We used to value words on a page because producing them was hard work. It took time to type 5,000 words. It took physical effort.
And now producing words is easy, trivial almost. So the value shifts to the intent behind the words.
But that is actually kind of hopeful. It sounds scary at first, the idea that our words aren't special anymore, but the idea that our intent is what matters, that feels sustainable.
It is hopeful, but it's a rigorous kind of hope. It demands more from us. It demands that we actually have an intent. You can't just sleepwalk through content creation anymore.
Which brings us back to the cousin problem. If I'm just sleepwalking, I'm going to create a cousin of someone else's work. I'm going to converge.
And you will be ignored, or worse, flagged as a copycat. The bar for originality has just gone up. It's no longer enough to write a sentence that hasn't been written before.
You have to think a thought that hasn't been thought before.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring this home for the listener. We've covered a lot. The
Yeah.
old definition of plagiarism, word-for-word copying, is dead because AI makes accidental copying inevitable.
Right. It's a statistical certainty now. If you write enough, you will eventually accidentally plagiarize an AI, or an AI will accidentally plagiarize you. It's just numbers.
So we need a new definition, one that protects frameworks, insights, and original thinking.
And we need to stop freaking out about similarity at scale. We need to accept that basic informational sentences will look the same. We need to stop policing the bricks and start looking at the architecture.
And the implication here is huge. If we don't make this shift, we risk destroying creativity by labeling every coincidence as theft. We'll just sue each other into silence.
Or we'll retreat into private, walled gardens where nobody shares anything because they're too afraid of being accused of stealing. And that would be a tragedy for innovation. We need the free flow of ideas, but we need a new way to credit the source of those ideas.
So here's where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. I want to leave you with a thought that came out of that B2B sauce discussion, combined with Parashar's conclusion. It's a bit of a challenge.
This is the uncomfortable question.
It is. In a world where AI can replicate any format, any style, any tone, is your underlying strategy original enough to survive being stripped of its words?
Think about it this way. If the AI wrote your business plan or your marketing strategy or your personal manifesto, would it look identical to your competitors?
If you stripped away the adjectives and the formatting, is the idea yours? Or is it just a cousin of what everyone else is doing?
That's the real test of plagiarism in 2026. Not, did you write these words, but did you think this thought?
Parashar says truth always carries a name. The question is there enough truth in your work to carry yours?
That's something to chew on.
Find your truth in the noise, everyone. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.